So Kim Jong Un is being reported that he's dead. This, boy, 2020 has been crazy, bro. 2020 has been crazy, but let's talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. So like I said before the intro, man, 2020 has been crazy. I don't know, like, bro, the Rona, Kobe, like, bruh, my best friend's dog just passed away. Like, there is so much crazy shit happening in 2020. And apparently we have to add one more thing to that list, which is that multiple international sources are reporting Kim Jong Un may be dead. Now, according to the Business Insider, the rumors have been fueled by reports from multiple outlets citing sources in China and Japan that Kim, who is believed to be 36 years old, is in grave condition after a cardiovascular surgery or may even be dead. The South Korean government has denied the reports and said Kim is in fact still running the country. However, the North Korean state-owned media has not made any reports of any kind about the health of Kim Jong Un. So, to be clear, it is not being confirmed as a fact that he has passed away, but because of the implications of his death in the international community, it's still really important to talk about this and explore the possibility that he has passed away, because there are, like I said, this could be a little problematic. I know some people who may have saber rattled at North Korea and Kim Jong Un or his father or his grandfather. They might be a little bit happy with this, but people always forget, if there is a vacuum of power created, then it will be filled in one way or the other, and the people of North Korea in that particular case could be left to foot the bill. Unfortunately, that bill will be paid with their lives if there is an internal struggle, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So let's talk about some of the other factors that are being considered. The reason that the cardiovascular surgery sticks out, and that there may have been complications there, and that there's a possibility that Kim Jong Un had to undergo cardiovascular surgery, was because he himself is reported to be 5'7", almost 300 pounds. Now, that's a heavy boy. Okay, that's a heavy boy. But even without the weight, Kim Jong Il, his father and previous supreme leader, quote unquote, of North Korea, also passed away because of heart complications. And his father, Kim Il Sung, also passed away from heart complications. So it's a kind of a big deal. And the speculation surrounding the possibility of either a complication from a surgery or death from that surgery, the speculation is kind of well-founded given the history. Once again, state-owned media of North Korea is not reporting anything, so that's also a pretty big red flag. But also, Kim Il Sung is his grandfather, and he had his memorial on April 11th. So it was April 11th they had this memorial, and this memorial is actually the biggest holiday, the most celebrated holiday in the country of North Korea. Kim Jong Un was not there, which also, of course, is continuing to fuel speculation. And he has not given a reason as to why he hasn't been there or why he wasn't there. And he hasn't given a reason as to, or the state media has also not given a reason as to why he wasn't at that particular event. We should also be considering things like who overtakes Kim Jong Un's position if he is indeed passed away. Now, I know what some people may be thinking, he has kids. Well, his kids, if they're confirmed to be his children, actually not passed away. They're too young. They're too young. So even if he did pass away, they would not be able to take over. Now, who's naturally next in line? Well, unfortunately, I think his brother has passed. And his sister would therefore be next in line. Now, his sister, Kim Yo-jong, is his closest confidant. Now, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is if you know anything about Korean culture in general, whether it be North Korean or South Korean culture, it's a very patriarchal culture. In other words, they ain't gonna let a woman run shit. I don't know how to say that. There is going to be an internal struggle if someone tries to push Kim Jong Un's little sister, to be the leader. Because truthfully speaking, I'm sure a lot of the weight that she was able to throw around, and the respect that she had gained and the clout that she had, was given to her by Kim Jong Un. So if he is indeed gone, and there's no older brother and no father and obviously no grandfather to point the country and the leadership in the right direction, to force them to allow Kim Yo-jong to take Kim Jong Un's place, then I do see there being an internal power struggle. And that's something that has to be discussed. There can also be an internal power struggle for another reason. Well, maybe some people are not happy with the dictatorship and they've only been playing along because, I mean, who likes dying? I don't like dying, so I play probably along too. If it was literally, we can't even get news out of North Korea until 2 or 3 weeks after it happened. So imagine trying to escape. It doesn't happen very often. Okay, so there could be a power struggle in the leadership in the Democratic Republic of North Korea, right? So there's another reason where that. So that's the other reason that the power struggle could happen. Maybe someone wants a dictatorship. Maybe somebody else wants a true republic and wants to liberate the people and sees this as an opportunity, because if the speculation is true, then this is the most untimely death out of all of the Kim family. The other ones were kind of old. Kim Il-sung was older. Kim Jong Un was older. So Kim Jong Il was older. Kim Jong Un is reportedly 35 or 36 years old. This was not anticipated. Now, what does that mean for the international community? It's a problem. It's a problem, and it's scary, and it could spark World War III. It's like one of those type of scary, and I'm not trying to be like a nihilist or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have to actually understand the dynamic in the Korean Peninsula to understand how serious this could be if there is not an immediate successor and North Korea is not taken under someone's control in a few weeks. Okay? North Korea is for the most part allied with Russia. Okay? Russia and North Korea I think the Korean Peninsula might be in between, but for the most part, the international community considers them bordered, and Russia takes very seriously the events that transpire in North Korea. Okay? So, positive or negative, Russia is paying very close attention to this. Putin specifically is paying close attention to this because he understands that the outcome of what happens in North Korea will affect Russia in one form or another, depending on what that conclusion will be. Now, of course, what does that mean for the United States? Well, let's be honest. We've been trying to babysit the Korean Peninsula for quite some time, and we've also been saber rattling at Russia and China. So if you think that China and Russia are not going, or that we're not going to respond to something that China and Russia tries to do, you're wrong. In fact, if I know the United States, and I do pretty well at this point, we're going to make the first move if there is not a successor appointed in the very near future. And if we make the first move, it'll probably be an undercover CIA operation, let's be honest. Now, that does not mean that Russia will not retaliate and they will not know if we're using an undercover black ops type of situation to try and overthrow or liberate North Korea, because Russia has great intelligence as well, and they may just make the first move based off of anything. If it even looks like we're trying to overthrow that government and make it one of our puppet governments, Russia could get involved. If Russia gets involved, China will get involved. If China gets involved, that is World War III. Sides will be picked. North and South Korea may end up going back to war with each other after they just reconcile many of their differences to the point where they're at least amicable. This could be huge. So I know that there are a lot of people who are saying, maybe celebrating to a degree, Kim Jong Un's death. Maybe they think that this is a good thing because he was a dictator, right? This is a good thing because he was an enemy of the United States. This is a good thing because blah, 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 blah. His people were suffering. Da, da, da. No, that's not necessarily the case. When a leader who has centralized power to that degree passes away, it creates a vacuum of power that will absolutely be filled. Okay? Now, if that vacuum of power is not filled quick enough, Russia gets involved, China gets involved, the United States gets involved, and this is at a bare minimum, by the way. And if that happens, it is the people of North Korea who will suffer the most. And that has to be understood. Let me check out some of these super chats. Ben Riley, thank you very much. Did you see Nick Branya on Jamal's show? Also, did you look into Vash on Twitter? Vash, I guess that's his name, on Twitter. I did look into some of Vash's content. Yeah. But I did not see Nick Branya on Jamal's show. However, Nick Branya will be coming on our program this Wednesday. So looking forward to that. For those of you who do not know, Nick Branya is the leader of the movement for the People's Party. Glory Jones, thank you very much for the super chat. Hope everything's going well with you, homie. I'll trust the news on this 100% when Dennis Rodman confirms it. That's actually true, right? I hope this all can stay stable even with the U.S. trying to do the Libya model on them. But actually, that's a pretty damn good barometer. If Dennis Rodman confirms news out of North Korea, then it's probably true. Ren Stin, thank you very much for the super chat. America screwed up Korea in the Forgotten War. Yes, we did. People forget that people like to think that the sanctions on North Korea is because of some of their military behavior, right? So them attempting to create nuclear weapons and fight with South Korea, saying that it was unprompted, et cetera, et cetera. There is a lot of muddy history which will not get out for probably not even in my lifetime when we're talking about what happened between North and South Korea. But what should be understood that it has nothing that's not why we have been trying to overthrow their government. That's not why we have a demilitarized zone. It's not why we put so much economic pressure on them. That's not why we put sanctions on them. And anyone who tells you that's why we put sanctions on them is a whole ass liar. If you know anything about North Korea's economic history, at one point, while they were still a communist dictatorship, which is weird, but ignore the dictatorship, worry about the communist part. They were actually the number one fastest growing economy in the world before the United States basically toppled them and basically forced every single nation to put sanctions on them. The reason that Kim Il-sung was able to gain power and keep it, and of course then pass it down to Kim Jong Il and then subsequently Kim Jong Un, was because Kim Il-sung was one of the few leaders around the world who had shown the ability to, in some way, form, or fashion, stand up to Western imperialism. That's how a lot of people were able to maintain power, even if that power may have been illegitimate after these wars were over. So their economy and the fast-growing nature of it was why they had sanctions put on them, why the United States demonized them. Because if you've looked at the United States historically, we have no problem with working with dictators. We have no problems with working with theocracies. In fact, we prefer them. Our problem is when you are not in our pockets, if we do not have control over your government and your economy, and then you decide to be a communist country or a theocratic dictatorship, because then we can use that as our excuse to overthrow your government. So North Korea has its issues. Kim Jong Un and Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong Il all have and had their issues, but that has nothing to do with why the United States has demonized the country of North Korea to the degree that it has. And it has everything to do, like the extreme reaction to our behavior is why North Korea is on lockdown. They're worried that their people are going to be exposed to various levels of propaganda from the West and specifically from the United States. So if the United States would have handled this situation better, handled it more honestly, entered into bilateral negotiations and bilateral agreements with Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong Il, then things will look a lot different and the people would probably benefit a little bit more. But this is what happens when everybody asks me, well, why should you work with Assad, or why should you be diplomatic with Assad? Why should you be diplomatic with Gaddafi? Why would you be diplomatic with Modi, for those who say he's a fascist? Because I've seen the results of what happens when you give up diplomacy. Look at how the people of North Korea have suffered because we've just decided to give up all diplomatic methods with North Korea. We have. I don't give a damn what the government says. The reason that you know that we've done so was because the one time that we tried to be diplomatic and pursue diplomacy with North Korea was recently with Donald Trump. And you see how the country reacted. Their definition of diplomacy was blow him up. They were literally saying, oh, he's coddling dictators by trying to be friendly with a man who supposedly is trying to make a nuclear weapon. Yeah, I thought that's what we call diplomacy, when two heads of state meet, even if they have many disagreements on how to govern their own countries, to try and reach an agreement that most benefits the entire international community. I thought that's what that was called. I thought it was called diplomacy. I may be wrong. I'm not an expert in these things, but whatever. So Kim Jong Un's death could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But the thing that it presents most potentially is an opportunity. And that opportunity could be taken advantage of in a way that could detrimentally affect the lives of the people of North Korea and literally set the world on fire, depending on how it's reacted to. If it's true, I'm happy this happened during the pandemic, because otherwise things could have gotten really bad really fast, immediately, right? But to be honest with you, it's kind of peculiar to me that Trump has come out and said that the U.S. government, has not been able to confirm whether or not he's dead. And that's peculiar to me, because Trump, for the most part, has seemingly, or the government under Trump, has been able to keep a pretty open line of communication with Kim Jong Un. And so if he falls off the face of the planet like this, and then the U.S. government, even with all of its connections, can't confirm that he's alive, it makes me lean a little bit more towards the possibility of him being passed away. But if you're the U.S. government, you're not going to say that. Not until you figure out who this is. There has to be, before you can confirm that he's passed away, if like their state media hasn't confirmed it, they're thinking militarily, immediately, the United States government is. What they're thinking is, who's a successor? Who can we make the successor? Is there any opposition within the government? Do the people want a specific successor? What are their biggest complaints and their biggest gripes? Are there leaders in the government that we could take advantage of? What is Russia about to do in response to this? What is China going to do in response to this? We need to call South Korea to see if they'll allow a bigger military presence just in case. How are we going to regain control of the Korean Peninsula? Will Russia react if we try to regain control of the Korean Peninsula? All of these things are being considered before they ever think about announcing that Kim Jong Un is dead, because that's unnecessary information for the public. That's how they see it. And so they're making all these plans militarily and diplomatically, potentially, before they even think about telling us, even if the U.S. government has confirmed it. But the fact that they're treating this as a non-confirmation, in other words, he's saying we haven't confirmed the status of his death. And so usually when that happens, you say, oh, okay, well, so we're going to go about assuming that he's alive and go about business as if he's alive. But that's not what's happening right now. The only ones who have said they're going about business like he's alive is South Korea. And that's the best course of action for South Korea, because South Korea knows what comes next if he's not dead. So while it hasn't been confirmed, South Korea has to pretend. Like, they have to assume that he's alive, and more importantly, tell the world that he is alive. Because if you don't tell the world he's alive, people are going to assume he's dead, and then they're going to be knocking on your front door, and you're going to have a damn war brought to the streets of South Korea. And they know that. And there's almost nothing that South Korea can do about it except for prolong the inevitable if the power vacuum is not filled almost immediately upon those reports coming out. So I think that we got all our super chats. All right. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are about this. Like this video. Leave a comment below. Share the video. Share this. Like the video before you leave. I should have like, what is it, like 200 people watching? Should have like 250 likes right now. What are you waiting for? Got a super chat? Francisco Raposo. Thank you very much. Did you hear about COVID-19 not actually being isolated and purified and therefore not proven to be the virus causing the deaths worldwide? That also implies the tests are not testing for COVID-19. I have not heard about that. I will have to look into it a little bit more. Thanks for the super chat. All right, so like the video before you leave. All right, share the video. Follow us on Rockfin at rockfin, ROKFIN.com/Niko. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. If you like that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockfin Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else, always remember,
find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.
peace.